A fierce storm lashes the streets of Philadelphia. Rain hammers cobblestones like musket fire. A 17-year-old boy staggers forward, clothes clinging to his frame, pockets holding nothing but a few coins and damp spare shirts. Tucked awkwardly under each arm sits a large, puffy bread roll from a nearby bakery, the last of his meager fortune spent on survival. He devours the third roll with ravenous bites, crumbs scattering into the downpour. From a shadowed doorway, a young woman watches this absurd, rain-soaked figure and erupts in laughter. That boy, drenched and mocked, would one day stand among giants, command the respect of kings, pull electricity from the clouds, and help birth a new nation. His name was Benjamin Franklin, and this is the moment destiny first smiled through ridicule. Born into the cramped, bustling world of Boston in January 1706, Franklin entered a household overflowing with siblings, 15th child of a hard-working candle maker and soap boiler named Josiah. The family home echoed with voices and the constant pressures of poverty. Love existed there, but resources stretched thin across so many mouths. Formal schooling lasted barely 2 years before young Benjamin found himself pulled into the family trade at age 10. Days blurred into a haze of dipping wicks, stirring vats of hot, acrid fat that burned the nostrils and coated everything in grease. The labor felt soul-crushing to a mind already hungry for more. Yet books ignited something unstoppable within him. Every coin he could scrape together vanished into their pages. He sacrificed meals, adopting a simple vegetable diet not merely for ethics, but to redirect savings toward fresh volumes. While others rested, he read by flickering candlelight, devouring essays, tales of exploration, and works of moral philosophy. At 12, an apprenticeship with his older brother James, a printer, opened new doors amid the clatter of type and the rich scent of ink. The shop became his university. Words poured in daily, newspapers, pamphlets, books, and Benjamin absorbed them like a sponge. He crafted his own rigorous path to mastery. Selecting elegant essays from the era's finest writers, he would study one deeply, then hide it away. Days later, he reconstructed it entirely from memory, striving to match its elegance in his own emerging style. Comparing draft to original revealed every flaw, weak vocabulary, awkward rhythms, missed nuances. He revised tirelessly, expanding his lexicon, sharpening sentences until they gleamed. This solitary discipline transformed a boy with limited education into a formidable writer. No teacher guided him. He built the forge himself. By 16, his talent shone brightly, but James refused to print anything bearing his younger brother's name. Frustration mounted. In secret, under the cloak of night, Benjamin invented a persona, Silence Dogood, a sharp-witted, middle-aged widow whose letters critiqued society with bold insight. He slipped them beneath the print shop door anonymously. James and his circle published them eagerly, praising the mysterious author while the town buzzed with speculation. 14 such pieces appeared, each landing with quiet impact. When Benjamin revealed the truth, admiration mixed with James's bitter jealousy. Tensions exploded into harsh confrontations and physical punishment. The apprenticeship, meant to shape him, had become an iron chain. Driven by desperation and dreams of independence, the 17-year-old made a perilous decision. He broke the legal terms of his indenture and fled Boston, first toward New York, then pushing onward to Philadelphia. The journey tested every limit. Rough seas, endless miles on foot through relentless rain and mud, hunger gnawing at his strength. Exhaustion threatened collapse, yet a fierce inner fire propelled him. Arriving broken and penniless, he bought those 3 bread rolls, presenting the ridiculous spectacle that drew Deborah Reed's laughter. Little did either know how deeply their paths would intertwine, or how that humble arrival marked the first steps of an extraordinary ascent. In Philadelphia, Franklin threw himself into printing work with unmatched determination. He labored longer, thought sharper, and innovated faster than his peers. Trust grew. Before long, he established his own shop, taking on contracts to print colonial currency and official papers. He launched a newspaper that pulsed with vitality, drawing readers across the region with lively commentary and engaging content. Marriage to Deborah provided stability and partnership, anchoring his restless energy. Success built steadily, but Franklin's ambitions stretched far beyond personal gain. At 26, he introduced Poor Richard's Almanack, a modest annual publication blending calendars, weather forecasts, and practical advice. Into its margins, he wove concise, memorable proverbs drawn from life's hard lessons and keen observation. Phrases like, "Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Lost time is never found again," and "Little strokes fell great oaks," resonated instantly. Families across colonies and frontiers purchased thousands of copies each year, turning the Almanack into both a bestseller and a treasury of folk wisdom. Wealth followed, yet Franklin viewed prosperity as a tool for broader service. He surveyed Philadelphia's challenges and acted decisively. Citizens craved books but lacked access. He rallied support for the first subscription library in the colonies, where shared contributions unlocked collective knowledge. Homes vulnerable to fire? He organized the first volunteer fire brigade, later expanding into insurance protections. Streets lay dark and chaotic at night. Plans for paving, lighting, and organized watchmen took shape under his influence. He founded a philosophical society connecting thinkers across colonies, helped establish a hospital for the underserved, and championed an academy that evolved into a prestigious university. Time and again, where others saw problems requiring someone to solve them, Franklin declared himself that someone. His hands shaped the city's infrastructure, its intellectual life, and its spirit of improvement. By 42, financial security allowed retirement from active business. For most, this might signal rest. For Franklin, it unlocked deeper pursuits. Electricity, then a novelty of drawing room demonstrations and mild shocks, captivated his inquisitive mind. He approached it with systematic experiments and boundless curiosity. Soon, the man with minimal formal schooling was advancing the field, introducing essential terminology, battery, conductor, positive and negative charges, that scientists worldwide adopted. His writings clarified mysteries that had baffled experts. A daring hypothesis emerged. The terrifying lightning bolts splitting the sky were merely electricity on a colossal scale. In June 1752, during a violent thunderstorm, Franklin and his son William raised a silk kite into the roiling clouds. A brass key dangled from the wet string. As charged particles flowed down the line, Franklin extended his knuckle toward the key. A spark jumped, bright, sharp, undeniable. In that fleeting instant, ancient fears of divine wrath transformed into understandable natural law. Danger shadowed the triumph. A similar experiment soon killed a scientist in Russia. Franklin survived and immediately channeled discovery into protection. The lightning rod, a simple pointed metal bar atop buildings that safely conducted strikes to the ground. Churches, homes, and entire towns gained safety from fiery destruction. True to his character, he sought no patent. He shared the invention freely, declaring that humanity benefits most when innovations serve the common good without restriction. The boy who once owned little now gave knowledge away like bread to the hungry. His inventive spirit continued. Bifocal spectacles to ease the strain of shifting vision, improved stoves for efficient heating, even early swim fins from childhood, and detailed observations of ocean currents that aided navigation. Honors poured in from universities on both sides of the Atlantic. The self-taught printer earned the title Dr. Franklin from Europe's elite scientific circles. Yet clouds gathered on the horizon. As colonial agent in London, Franklin worked tirelessly to bridge growing divides with Britain over taxes, representation, and respect. He cherished British culture and long believed reconciliation possible within the empire. Those hopes crumbled dramatically in January 1774. Summoned before a hostile assembly, he endured an hour of vicious public abuse from the king's solicitor, mockery, accusations of theft, assaults on his honor, while spectators laughed. The elderly scientist stood silent and unmoved, absorbing the assault with dignified restraint. Inside, something fundamental shifted. He entered that chamber still identifying strongly with the empire. He departed resolved as an American, ready to defend his homeland's future. War's shadow lengthened. In 1776, at 70, Franklin lent his experience to the Continental Congress. He contributed to the committee crafting the Declaration of Independence, applying his editorial eye to refine its powerful language. As signers committed their lives and fortunes, knowing capture meant execution, Franklin's humor masked steely resolve. The new nation faced overwhelming odds. Victory required allies. Franklin accepted the perilous diplomatic mission to France despite his advanced age and the dangerous winter crossing. In Paris, he became a sensation. Eschewing formal powdered wigs for a simple fur cap, he embodied the wise philosopher from America's wild frontiers. French society adored him. Portraits, medallions, and even hairstyles styled a la Franklin proliferated. Ladies and intellectuals sought his company. Behind the charm and celebrity, Franklin negotiated with fox-like cunning. He secured vital French financial support, naval power, and military aid, the alliance that proved decisive in the revolutionary struggle. Later, he helped negotiate the treaty ending hostilities with Britain. An aging diplomat's intellect and charisma helped secure independence where armies alone might have faltered. Returning home, Franklin continued serving. At 81, the oldest delegate at the Constitutional Convention, he advocated tirelessly for compromise amid heated debates. His calm voice reminded proud men that perfection eluded any human endeavor, urging adjustments for the greater good. Gazing at the sun motif painted on the presiding chair, he expressed long-held uncertainty whether it symbolized a rising or setting nation. With the document signed, he declared with satisfaction that it was rising. His life's final chapter reflected growth on profound issues. Having owned slaves earlier, he confronted that legacy directly. In old age, he led an anti-slavery society and, in one of his last public acts, signed a petition to Congress calling for abolition. Though it failed, the gesture embodied his core principle: constant self-improvement. Benjamin Franklin passed away in Philadelphia in April 1790 at 84. Nearly 20,000 citizens, virtually the entire population, lined the streets for his funeral procession, honoring the man who had shaped their city and nation so profoundly. From the candlemaker's son with scant schooling and empty pockets to the architect of libraries, fire protections, scientific breakthroughs, and diplomatic triumphs, his journey embodied the self-made ideal. His story resonates across centuries because it reveals the transformative power of curiosity, discipline, and generosity. He approached life as a draft to be endlessly revised, comparing his efforts to greater models, identifying weaknesses, and iterating until strength emerged. He captured lightning not for personal glory but to shield others, refusing profit from inventions that could save lives. In an era of revolution and enlightenment, he bridged worlds: printer and scientist, colonist and statesman, flawed human and relentless improver. Franklin's legacy challenges us still. In our own times of rapid change and abundant information, do we embrace the same commitment to self-correction and service? Can we, like him, turn personal hardships into broader contributions? History remembers him not as a flawless icon, but as a man who acknowledged contradictions and worked to transcend them. His final public stand against slavery, his free sharing of knowledge, and his role in securing liberty demonstrate a life measured by impact rather than perfection. What moment in Benjamin Franklin's remarkable path speaks most powerfully to you? The rain-soaked arrival with bread rolls and laughter echoing, the spark leaping from the key amid thunder, the silent dignity under public humiliation, or the old man's quiet advocacy for justice in his twilight years? How might his example of lifelong learning and civic responsibility inspire actions in our world today? Share your reflections below. The spirit of inquiry that drove Franklin forward remains alive in every question we ask and every improvement we pursue.